Hey there, Claire Chancellor here. I'm so excited to share this time with you as we explore Elevate and Evolve. Elevate and Evolve is all about manifesting what you want. And in today's video, I want to cover off the 7 steps very briefly, as well as diving deep into step 1 to know what you want. These particular steps, the 7 steps to manifest what you want, is a tool that you can use in every area of your life. I've taken the time to break down specifically the strategy that works time and time again for my clients to manifest what they want. And so within this recording, it's more about understanding the steps than getting the outcome right now. Because as you move through coaching or group coaching, that's where you can action these steps. So we're mostly going to focus today on what the steps mean and how you can utilize them in your day-to-day world. So as I said, elevate and evolve, the 7 steps to get what you want. Let's explore them. The first step is to get clear on what you want, to name what you want, and to make sure that it aligns with who you want to become. The second step is to actually notice what you're tolerating, to look at your home, your work, your environment, and to notice where your energy has been drained with all of the shoulds, and again, what you're tolerating, where you're settling for less than what you actually want. Because right now, if you know what you want, if your house, your environment's messy or chaotic, like where are you going to put this beautiful manifestation? The next step, once you know what you've been tolerating, is to also take notice of what keeps you stuck. Sometimes what you want comes with the cost of judgment, rejection, doubt, and we really need to identify what is going on that is causing you to feel stuck, to pay attention to where you're giving your power away so that you can move forward. So step 3 is a lot about the emotions and how they're communicating with you to, again, know what's keeping you stuck. Step 4 is to do the inner work to get unstuck. And this is all about letting your intuition show you what's next, to release the old rules, the old coping strategy that keeps you small, that keeps you giving your power away. You've clearly outgrown all of those old ways of being because your heart and your intuition is saying, hey, let's manifest something new. So we're going to get your intuition to dial up, to start to trust your intuition so that you can release the old way and step into the new. Step 5 is all about understanding where you are and what you want and being able to close the gap. So this is where you can start to rehearse what it's like to have the car or the travel or the relationship or the money with enthusiasm, and to start to really get familiar in every cell of your being, within your nervous system, within your beliefs, that yes, this is the new me. And we're going to go through a lot of different processes there where you can rehearse who you're becoming. Step 6 is all about elevating your beliefs to match exactly who you want to become. This is about rewiring any of your assumptions about what's possible, any of those limiting beliefs, to then shift those so that you can become, again, that version of you who already believes it's possible, who has that level of certainty, so that you attract in that level of frequency. And finally, step 7 is all about the evolution, to take action, to receive and celebrate what you want. Now, step 7 is an interesting one because this is where we have to take steps that align to the goal that matters the most to you. So that when you do get the thing that you want, that you've been manifesting, it's such a beautiful, blissful surrender of like, yes, of course, this is here. This is what I've been after. This is who I am. So there's a lot more detail, obviously, throughout those steps. But for right now, this is the path ahead. So let's begin, because ooh, manifesting is the art of preparing your mind, your body, and soul to receive the rich life that your intuition is guiding you towards. Manifesting is the process of making something real, to turn an idea, an intention, or desire into something that you can see, feel, and experience. Manifesting is not about weird rituals or quick fixes. It's a continuous process that you will carry with you, that will unfold throughout your life, through your thoughts, your emotions, and your choices. Whether you're aware of it or not, you are already manifesting, because this is the definition of manifesting, to turn your ideas into reality. And you would have seen it in action. Stress can manifest as tension or poor sleep. So it becomes real. Your stress, you experience it. Your confidence can manifest when you speak up. Thinking of somebody who's doing public speaking, to step onto that stage, to have the confidence to create that vision into reality where they are in the spotlight and they are speaking their truth. This is their manifestation coming to life. You see your manifestation within the creative adventures, finishing a painting that you've been thinking about, writing a song that you've been thinking about, or even the practical solutions. For some reason, what comes to mind is, my grandfather having these ideas, these brilliant ideas about how he could make Nana's life so much easier with his knickknacks and his problem solutions and inventions. And so this is that form of manifestation, that his ideas have come to reality. So again, manifesting isn't necessarily some weird woo-woo uh, ritual or thing that you do for 10 minutes. This is where the modern day has really warped the idea of manifesting, because the truth is, you will hear doctors use the word manifest. The illness has or the stress has manifested itself into this illness. You'll hear solicitors use that word, that we're here in the courtroom because the situation has manifested into this crime. It's a word that's commonly used. So we want to be really practical about it when it comes to the 7 steps. With our focus here with Elevate and Evolve, at its core, manifesting is a practical process of becoming the new you. And it begins with you naming what you truly want and being able to close the gap from where you are to where you want to be. You take the steps, you make the choices, you shift your energy, you surrender the old you, and activate divine timing so you can grow into that new version of you, who you want to be. Now, an interesting step here is to understand about divine timing. If you believe in reincarnation, you might already sense that your soul came here to learn lessons. These lessons it couldn't learn in the spirit world, where there's all that beautiful love and light. And after doing mediumship on stage and being part of that spiritual journey, the spiritual groups and circle, I've well and truly experienced that side of things where spirit has come to communicate to their loved ones to not take life so seriously, to play with life, to enjoy their time here. And the truth is, when they're in the spirit world and when our souls, are in the spirit world, it is of a dimension that is love and light. When we put our hand up to come here on earth, we are here to experience the polarity that we do not have in the spirit world. The polarity is the love and the hate, the joy and the grief, the clarity and the confusion, the good and the bad. Because through that contrast, this is where you get to remember who you truly are, to have that soul's evolution. Think of it like a soul contract. If you're in the spirit world, sitting at that table between lives saying, hey, I want to learn about love in the human form. And you put your hand up, and the souls who gather around that table with you, somebody else puts their hand up and says, hey, I'm going to come in as your little brother or your ex-husband, and I'm going to push your buttons with love. But I'm going to push your buttons so that you know what it's like to not have love, to be pushed or rejected, so that you actually do understand the true essence of that 3D version of love. And at that table, I was like, yes, let's do that. That sounds exciting. What were we thinking? And so we need to understand here when it comes to manifesting, we have put our hand up to learn what it's like to experience the darkness, the shadows, the hardship, the heavy duty frequency, so that we also learn the polarity of what it's like to live in that light, high vibe energy. And as masters, those who are on that spiritual journey, this is where we get to shine our light and teach other souls what it's like to live in that radiant higher power or higher frequency or higher energy. And so the truth is, when it comes to divine timing, many people think that they need to wait for a higher power to put things on their path so that they get to do life the way that it was intended. And when we think about being at that soul contract table, and again, for what feels like 20 something years, taking clients between lives, they are the boss. They are the CEO of their journey. And in that soul's evolution, your soul actually doesn't care if it takes one lifetime or 20 lifetimes to learn that particular soul contract, that lesson. Because when you signed up to be here, where you were, time didn't exist. Didn't have the heaviness to understand, like, gosh, why would I put myself through this? We weren't in a human body. And so when it comes to divine timing, if people are pushing your buttons, if you're feeling fearful, anxious, suffering, in poverty, whatever it is, you need to understand that you activate divine timing by facing the fear, by working through the challenges, by working through the heaviness. So it's not about avoiding it. It's actually about understanding why your buttons are being pushed. And there'll be some level of freedom that comes with getting that aha. And this is also important when it comes to the part of manifesting when it's to surrender. I've seen some weird stuff on YouTube and social media about surrender, how it's to know what you want and then to like burn it and, you know, you wait for divine timing. And it's actually like, no, surrender is about surrendering that grip of your ego, surrendering the fear, surrendering the anxiety, surrendering the version of you that has been triggered and handing your power away. So that when your energy shifts, it's like, wow, I can now step into my purpose, into the vision that I've got for my manifestation. So, here, when it comes to the idea of manifesting, it's not letting go of what you want. It's not waiting for some mysterious force to decide if you can have it or not. The true surrender is that conscious decision, a really powerful shift where you release the old version of yourself who's been waiting and suffering and trying to be good. It's about letting go of the neediness where you've been chasing, needing approval, needing performing, all of those, that neediness that's rooted in lack, scarcity, and fear. It's about surrendering that it doesn't have the power over you. And then this is where you will feel your intuition being easier to access. Your intuition can then guide you towards your desire. And it can also help you notice where you've been handing your power away, where the limitations are. Surrender happens because your intuition has done its job. It's got you to take notice of where you've been holding yourself back by looking towards the new car or the new home or the new relationship. It's like, I want that thing outside of myself. Why don't I have it? What's wrong with me? Why do I miss out? And this is where you start that soul's journey of self-exploration and understanding who you are. Very sophisticated, right? So this is where your intuition will now be free of the heaviness and the limitations. It can now speak to you a lot clearly, a lot clearly, a lot more clearer. And you've got to keep in mind, intuition doesn't promise comfort. It often leads you into situations that ask you to grow, to stretch, to surrender the version of you who's been held back by the ego. And the intuition there, by following it, can feel quite vulnerable. It can feel like stepping into the unknown. But that's the thing. And we're going to go into more detail of this, but this is where your soul has put the hand up to come into this particular family. The family was always there to keep you safe, to protect you, to help you build your self-worth so you could go out into the world. However, that family unit, if it hadn't been so healthy, or if things had been, or in a different sort of power dynamic, you may not have that self-worth. You may not feel confident enough to do what it is that you want to do. And so this is where, again, that intuition is going to ask you to not necessarily grow up, but it will ask you why you're handing over your power to others to have the final say or the decision, because underneath that will be a level of fear. And again, we're going to explore all of those things. Okay, so here we are with step one, to get clear on what you want. Within this chapter, we are going to explore, what do you want? Why manifesting often begins when you feel stuck. We're going to explore what you don't want, because sometimes that question, what do you want, is too big. So we need to explore what you don't want to know what you do want. And then we're going to get that path to become golden and clear, so that when you do move towards what you want, it feels right by you. Now, when people do ask you what you want, are you the type of person going to a restaurant with friends who already knows before they get there, yep, this is exactly what I want? Are you like me, where you have that set kind of diet, you know exactly what you want before you even get to the restaurant? Or perhaps you're the version of that person who loves to look at the specials, asks the friends, what are you having? And you need all of the options to be able to identify, okay, I know what I don't want, to know what I do want. No matter which camp you're in, this is the chapter that will help you feel really nourished by the choices to identify again what you want to manifest. A lot of the time when people come into manifesting, they already have done so many different things. They've tried all of the podcasts and the books and the different modalities, and they've spent years tolerating, like waiting their turn to receive, hoping that if they are a little bit nicer, better, give more, do more, at some point the universe will reward. And yet they still feel empty, or they still feel like they're on that treadmill. They feel like they're going in circles, and their energy is quite depleted. When I see clients like this, I know that what they've been doing is trying to add energy to their system, pouring more energy in with different modalities, or needing to do more meditation or more vitamins. And the truth is, when they've been going in circles, it's not about adding more energy. It's actually exploring what's caused them to be so depleted, what's causing them to feel so empty that they're on this constant chase for more energy to be able to keep up with the day to day. And so when we're aware of this, when we're aware that they've been doing everything, trying everything, we need to respect that here in Elevate and Evolve, we are not going to tell you just to do more to get what you want. That is only going to cause more levels of burnout and anxiety. Been there, done that. Let's do things that honors your system, honors your intuition, and energizes you to elevate and evolve. So when we think about that question, what do you truly want? Some may say, oh, I want more energy. I've had women that say, I want to win the lotto. And a lot of this speaks to that part of them that is waiting to be rescued, or that a part of them that is just going in circles, that just needs something big and dramatic to change. So, again, we're going to do things a little differently here in Elevate and Evolve to really honor your energy, honor what can make you feel more excited about the path that you're on. If you think about what it is that you want to celebrate in 3 years' time, who you might celebrate that with, do you get a sense of what that would be like? To feel into that relief, the excitement, the fun, the new chapter, that yes, you did it. And just to notice how glorious that feels to have that as a possibility. This is what we're moving towards. It's not necessarily a specific outcome. It's just right now knowing, yeah, I want that. And again, do not need to have the specifics right now. If you're listening and you're saying, no, I still don't know what I want, that's still too fuzzy, you've put me into a bit of a fog, Claire. Like, no, that question is too big. Then you're not alone. And we need to consider what it is that you don't want. Ah, did you feel your mind like, yep, I can tell you what I don't want? Like there's this whole list, like the computer just like filling up with this list of like, yeah, I don't want this, I don't want that, I tried this, been there, don't want that, don't want this. That's great. That's awesome that you know what you don't want. Hopefully you actually feel a little bit more energized, or that spark of adrenaline, like, yeah, no, I don't want this, Claire. This is fantastic. It tells us that you're ready for change. And you may want to grab a pen and paper and let your mind write freely there what you don't want with work, what you don't want with health, what you don't want with your daily routine, what you don't want with friends, what you don't want for your home. Because I recently had a client who'd been dating someone that she was really keen for. She kept an eye on this particular person, I want him, I want him, I want him. She'd been doing the inner work with me to be able to dial into giving herself permission to have what she wants. And then the moment when she did go on this particular date with this man, he said, "Yep, let's go on a date. Let's do this." She showed up in her flirty, happy self. And then she realized, like, no, that person that I'd been obsessing about when I was feeling a bit depleted or a bit stressed, like he was something that gave me a level of, hope for my future. She'd done so much inner work that when she went on to that date, it was like, no, there's no spark here. And this is the thing. She now had a list and different points about what she doesn't want, which is fabulous. She wants that person to really meet her where she's at, to dance the dance with her, to have that energy exchange instead of what was in front of her, which was, well, he was a little bit of a wet rag, really. So, again, knowing what you don't want can be very, very powerful so that you get clear on what you do want. When you think about things that have triggered you in the past, take a moment to reflect on what you don't want, what you're not ready or what you're not wanting to put up with, what you've had enough of, and writing all of that down. And imagine you'll feel the relief from your mind, from your nervous system, from your body, like, oh, okay, I've been heard. Now, once that's out of your system, I invite you to take a large piece of paper out or a fresh page in your journal. And this time we're going to pivot without worrying about judgment, without worrying about being perfect. It is about letting your thoughts pour out honestly about what it is that you do want. Writing out everything that your inner child has been wanting, what your intuition has been wanting, what your heart's been desiring. Now, the interesting thing when I was coaching a particular client a year or so ago, she did write out her list. I always have clients fill out what they do want so that we're working towards something. And I also invite them to dream really big because often when we dream really big, the beach by the home or the first class travel, whatever it is, it actually highlights the deep insecurities that do need attention in coaching. So I had this client write out what she does want, and wouldn't you know it, a year or so ago, she put on that list that she wanted a particular holiday, a particular destination. She had worked through so many of the good things that she wanted. It was like, Claire, I just need to take the treadmills off, or treadmills, take the training wheels off my bike and just enjoy life to go with the flow a bit. Like I've done so much inner work. She put her list to the side. 12 months later, her friend invited her on this glorious holiday and she had a wow of a time. Then, cleaning out her walk-in robe, she came up with that list that she had written previously. Then she looked at this picture, was like, oh my gosh, this picture that I stuck on my vision wall, on my list so many months ago is actually the destination I've just been. I was like, wow. And she didn't even have to pay for that holiday either. So this is where I invite you to just let your heart run free with this one to write out what you truly do want, what your finances look like if you are abundant in that way that you're craving, what your body feels like in that healthy, clear-minded way, what nourishes you day to day, what supportive relationships feel like, what friendships feel like, who's beside you, who is there that lights you up, and just to write freely what it is that you want. Now, in a pocket of time, it's worth picking one of those goals and just to reflect what it is that you truly want. Have a look at why this goal is important to you to pursue now. And when do you want this to become a reality in your life? This next one is really important. How will you know it has arrived? So, what will you see, hear, feel? In coaching, this one is really important because so many times people will be quite abstract with the thing that they want to go with the flow, want to be free, want to feel secure. And yeah, it's like, how do you define when you've got that level of celebration that you've done that? So it's really important to identify what will you see, hear, and feel. And I'll see with clients, they'll fill in you know, their diary will be full of well-paying clients, or they will see the travel tickets in hand, they will hold the car key, they will, you know, hear the champagne glass tinker as they're at that particular restaurant. Like whatever it is, get your body and your senses involved. Now, with that particular goals, it's worth checking in. Is there anything currently blocking that goal? You may say, oh, well, it's the money, it's the time. It's a bit boring. I'd be having a look at, is there anything that's currently blocking that goal in the way that I don't step up or I don't ask for what I want? I'm worried about my partner. Yeah, just checking in. What is it that's blocking that goal? Another key piece here is the goal self-initiated. Is it within your control? So this one here is like asking you, do you have the steps? Can you do what it takes to fulfill and achieve that goal? Thinking about any of my goals that I've had in the past, one that comes to mind right now is, having a new kitchen built. The goal itself was self-initiated. I could contact the kitchen people. However, what I couldn't do was build the kitchen. So this question here isn't asking you to do it yourself. It's actually asking you, do you feel like you can follow through with the steps, ask people to get involved, create the plan, or who do you need to speak to be able to action that goal? And then that final question here, are you ready to take full responsibility for the outcome? This one's a powerful question in the way that it's asking you to know that when you start to action what you want, that it's not about blaming others or thinking that other people are stopping you from having what you want. Are you fully responsible for the outcome that you want? That instead of it being like, oh, well, if I try this thing and it fails, then I'm just going to drop it like a hot potato. It's like, no, I'm going to do what it takes to make my goals non-negotiable and put in the time, the energy to work through whatever's holding me back so that I do have what I want. Again, this one's really important. Now, an interesting point before we wrap up here with step one is to bend your mind a little bit, because so many times people think that this reality is quite rigid or fixed. Yet manifestation invites you to walk a more enchanted path. Think of the Wizard of Oz like following the yellow brick road to the Emerald City. Along the way, within manifestation, you may seek knowledge, you may dial up that heartfelt intuition, and you may dial up that courage and confidence to do things differently. Because ultimately, it's about who you're becoming. And just like Dorothy, you'll realize that you had your ruby slippers and your purpose the entire time. For manifesting to work, it's essential to understand what's really going on beneath the surface and almost letting go of the how, which we'll cover off in another chapter. One of my clients had lent a significant amount of money to someone and it had not been repaid. Her logical mind had seen reality to be quite fixed and quite rigid, that she needed him to pay that money back so that therefore she could then buy her dream home. Logically, it makes sense. On the surface, it looked like, yep, okay, while he has not paid back that money, she can't do the thing that she wants to do. And this is where I like question reality. I question these fixed rules. Because when we explored why that money wasn't being paid back, we found another level of fear and another level of mistrust in her decision making. So while he was not paying back the money that he had borrowed, she was feeling safe that she couldn't make another mistake by buying the wrong house, by making the wrong financial decision. So she had actually manifested this setback of him not paying back as a shield to protect her from making maybe the wrong decision again, from having that mistrust within herself, where people had either manipulated or taken advantage of her good nature. It was like, well, he hasn't paid that back. I can't get myself into trouble again. And so we had to work through more about the mistrust within herself so that she could pursue her dream home, so that she could invite that money to come in through that loan being paid, as well as other ways to come in. And I'm working with clients who are going through that financial kind of stress. You know, maybe they've just become a single mum. I will always tell them to go and create their own pie instead of fighting for the piece of the pie on his side of the court. Why? Because when they get fixed into the stress, like he has to pay, so then I can do this, or blah, 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 they're handing their power away. When you get fixed, you narrow down your energy, you restrict the ways that things can unfold. And for me, I have seen time and time again, when you start to let the universe meet you with what you want can come in some incredible ways. The doors open, the opportunities shine in. Another quick client example I'm thinking of, there's a particular book that I will recommend in coaching to people when they're on that relationship with money to really build in that intuition and that trust with money. And in fact, I think the book is Love Money, Money Loves Me, or Money Loves Me, I Love Money. I always get it a bit of a tongue twister. That particular client loved that book so much that she had actually manifested the author to contact her and be the and to translate the book into Polish. So this whole idea of being really fixed about how manifestation should arrive and how it should show up, what's the logical solution, move that to the side. Because if you know what you want, when you fall in love with particular topics that light you up, you may hear from the author, or you may hear from a friend, or somebody you know in the past, or someone that's seen you on social media that has the key to open the door to more of what you want. So I think I've spoken enough on this one, but this is where, again, you know what? There's always going to be another story here. No, I've got another story recently happened. And in fact, it happened with a recent coffee I had with a family member where she'd said, Claire, I've gone through your website, manifesting, it's incredible. However, you know, if you have this sick relative and you're in charge and of their care, of course I can't manifest the holiday right now. Of course I can't manifest the freedom. My energy is going all into caring for this person who's on their way with dementia. And it was quite interesting. I said, well, yes, you may be in this role at the moment. However, if your energy is being drained, feeling stuck, feeling completely worn down, then that can shift. The way that your body's responding to the reactivity, the way that your energy is being pulled down, speaks to some of the coping strategies that you've got. Potentially too proud to ask for help, potentially too proud to let people know that you're stuck, to let people in to see the bigger challenges that are going on. Where has that come from? What's going on that things need to be done in this particular way, very controlling, very rigid, very stuck, very fixed to make sure that you can get through the day versus exploring how to manifest in that help, those opportunities, so that you can have peace in your body, so that you can enjoy your life and still play an active role, just not having to do all the things. And with a family member, I'm not going to coach them so much, but I will help them, you know, with conversational belief change to look at the fear and the shield that they're putting up, what it means to them to ask for help, what it means to ask for what they want, and to let others come into that caring role for her. So manifesting, it 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 is there as a tool to be able to, again, have that intuitive connection to your purpose and to light you up. So when you go back, have a look at what you want, have a look at it and dream really big. I have seen people manifest their mortgages to be paid off in 6 months. I have seen people go from homeless to, oh my gosh, investment portfolios, all things. I could share all sorts of wild stories. And the key piece was that they were not fixed and rigid on how the solution was going to come. Ooh. All right, so go and enjoy writing out what you want. In the next chapter, we're going to do a process to start to look at resolving any limitations on that. But for now, just go and enjoy exploring what you don't want to know what you do want. I'm Claire Chancellor, and I'll see you in the next chapter.